This is your helix.
Yeah.
And this is also the place where you keep your main power supply down here?
That's the switch, one to ensure that when I leave the room, I've turned everything off.
Yeah.
There are two switches that control all of the lighting in the room, and then the one with the pilot light on it is the one that switches all the power supplies.
Right.
So all of my train power goes when that one goes off.
So now we've come from the lower level, and this little box area, which is roughly how many feet by how many feet for your...
The helix is, what I did was I took a 4-foot square of plywood,
yeah,
and cut the bottom level of the helix as one complete turn.
Yes.
And then used that and shimmed it and carefully made sure that it had a continuous grade,
yeah,
for the first loop. And then everything else was built up on top of that.
Okay, so each level was similarly done and then attached to it?
I used smaller pieces from there on, but I wanted to make sure that the bottom piece was one continuous chunk.
Sure, get things started off on the right foot.
Started right, and then I used a table saw all set up to cut blocks all of a particular size. And those were used then to space everything out.
So how many levels to get to the next?
I think it's like 7 levels. Yeah.
And the percentage grade roughly?
Probably somewhere around 2%.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 to 3%. It's a little steep.
Right.
For some of the small engines, I have to be it's the ruling grade.
Yes.
So I have to be a little careful.
So I guess that also limits the length of your trains too.
It does, but with the size of the railroad, I really don't want trains much more than about 10 cars, and for certainly some of the locomotives I can do 10-car trains without any trouble. Yeah.
So where does it come out?
It comes out just up here.
Okay. So it emerges out of here.
That's correct, yeah.
And the track continues on the inside to a turnout, I guess, away around the corner.
Around the corner.
Before we go over there, I just happened to notice that above here into the ceiling, floor to ceilings, you got scenery that goes right up to almost the ceiling in a wonderful mine. This kit looks very, very familiar. This looks like a combination Walthers and some other additions that you put on. I really like this piece on the front.
Yeah, I picked up the Walthers kit because it was about the right size for the mine that I wanted to create here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I didn't, or what had attracted me to putting in a coal mine was articles that were done in Model Railroading magazine. Many years ago. They did a series on the eastern coal mine in the Appalachians and so on.
Yes.
And one of the things that I really liked about most of those mines is the long chutes that they used to load, which came out of the main building and were controlled in terms of height. So I decided that I wanted to add that as a feature. And so I scratch built all the pieces that support that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks terrific. So where do we go next?
Then we come around to the passing the farm scene that we've seen already.
This is the main line, and the outside track there is the one that goes to that coal mine. And then we come around the peninsula here and back to where the farm is.
Right, and then crossing another mountain stream here on a trestle. This one with a short section of girder bridge in the middle.
That's scratch-built trestle?
Yes, it is.
And was it based on plans or just your own ideas?
It's basically my own ideas, but it is based on typical plans.
It's a very sophisticated one. All the little central bits of girder.
Yeah.
And I see you've used the same nice technique of winding the stream up in behind.
Right. There's still trees and bushes and stuff to go along there.
This looks so nice with the farm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then we're into the curve here.
We're into the curve, and then coming into the town of Elk Lake, which is the other end of my railroad.
Yes.
Has the engine servicing facilities, all of which are kind of barren at the moment. Need a few structures and so on.
Under construction.
Correct.
Isn't it nice that there's more to do?
Yeah. Yeah. The station, of course, is here. That's one of the projects that I did in the last year or so.
That's a nice looking station.
Yeah, again, that's another one of the fine scale miniature kits.
Yeah, and then there's really nice little bits of rolling stock here. They look like they're almost scratch built.
They are. They're I had purchased a kit from a now defunct manufacturer, so Scotia Scale Models.
Yes.
And they built old time wood flat gondolas.
Yeah.
But in looking at them, I realized that they were pretty simple bunch of sticks of wood, and so I built a whole bunch of them myself.
And in behind there it looks like a sawmill.
Yeah, there is a small sawmill here at the moment. This is the interconnection point with a narrow gauge line, a narrow gauge logging line. So there will be, in fact, a much larger sawmill structure to go in up here.
Yeah.
Which will, the standard gauge line will be taking the cut lumber out of here and down and interconnecting it to the main line. And then the narrow gauge line is the one that brings the logs in from the woods.
It's a nice little narrow gauge train there with the big honking logs.
Yeah.
Looks wonderful. And then over here it looks like we have a small engine house.
That's, yeah, there's the engine facilities for the narrow gauge line.
And a little branch that runs along the top. It looks like about 6 inches wide. Something like that with another trestle. Yeah. I really like the swampy waterway underneath this one.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do in a small space.
It is, yeah.
And then, of course, we got our big monster trees. Ready for cutting. What do they call that? The first growth forest?
I would guess so, yeah.
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 And I love the red tones in the rock too. That's really wonderful. So typical of areas of Quebec. And then we're up into the logging area, and of course there's not many trees still standing here except up towards the end.
Yeah, that the end part would be either an area that hasn't been logged or an area that they don't own, so they can't log.
Yeah. This structure here that you've got the logs loading facility, can you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
it's based on some pictures that I got out of various logging books.
Right.
It's not really a full-scale spar tree because we're not pulling the logs in from the surrounding areas. They're actually being brought in either by ox team or back in the back there's a newfangled internal combustion truck that brings some of the logs in. But it is a loading tree, all set up with various wires to swing the log over the track and load it onto cars.
And I see that you've got the cars lettered for your railroad.
For the logging railroad as well, yeah, the Bristol Lumber Company, yes.
That's neat.
Yeah, and then a few some housing and bunk housing and so on for the workers that would stay in the woods.
These are nice trees. You made these ones, I take it?
They're various kit built. Some of them were from Campbell's, others from a different manufacturer, yeah.
Very nice. And then the track winds up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's more like another lead you can use, eh?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so when the train comes up, it basically comes nose on and it backs its cars in, and then it has to go in reverse down the hill.
It does, yeah. Yeah, there is a runaround track so that it can be on the front end, pulling up and going back, but there's no turning facilities up here to.
That's a really
change
nice
direction.
little bridge there too, a mini scene in a water tower.
Yeah.
So how long have you been working on this railroad?
We moved into the house here in 1981.
Yeah.
And I started building in this room a couple of years after that.
Okay.
And have been at it ever since.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's lots of distractions that keep us from working on a steady basis.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when we moved in here, we had 2 kids at home, and all of that entails.
Sure.
So there were just times when it was a few hours a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Certainly now that I'm retired, there's a lot more time to spend on it down here, yeah.
One of the things I see that you've done too is, because it's a 2-level layout, on this one side here you've managed to put your workbench into the railroad room. People are always interested in having a look at what's there. I see you have a small television up there.
Yeah, so I can distract myself when I'm doing boring types of processes. I can just watch a little bit of TV at the same time.
Yeah, maybe listen to the news or listen to some sports or something.
Something like that.
Yeah. And then you've got a Dremel set up here for with a drill press setting.
Yeah.
And you got your paint brushes and little boxes full of screws and Deweys and what's-its.
And various detail parts and so on, yeah. And
you got a little project on the go here.
A couple of different things, yeah. Yeah.
It looks so neat and tidy. You didn't clean it up before I came, did you?
A little bit, yes.
I have not seen workbenches quite as pristine as this.
No, it got a little tidied up before we got here.
See, I caught you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what do you use for magnification? I see it looks like a couple of pairs of glasses down here.
Yeah, I do have
an optivisor.
Well, I have an optivisor. I also have one of these fancy.
It looks like a Lee Valley setup or something like that, or that type of thing.
Yeah, it's pre-Lee Valley, but it's so I don't use that too much. I have a number of pairs of reading glasses at different magnifications, all the way up to about 4.5.
Wow, 4.5.
Yeah, just so you can really get close to look at things.
You got a little toolbox over there on the right. Looks like a grinder too, eh? Underneath there?
No, it's a Unimat.
Oh, a Unimat. Okay. Yeah.
I'll pull that out.
Hands-free type of things. Yeah. And a little vise on the end. So what do you do for when it comes around to painting? Do you spray or do you just use brushes?
I do both.
Yeah.
For the tour here, I have taken my spray system apart. So if we move back just a hair.
Sure.
Down here, there is a small spray paint booth.
Right.
With a fan.
Yep.
The booth actually mounts to the bench work right here. So it sticks out into the room somewhat, but it's right beside the workbench, so you can just swing. And you can see little bits of paint where things have kind of dropped.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, right?
Yep. And then the outlet for this goes through the window, which is up behind us. So if I just move the curtain aside a little bit.
Yeah, I can see the vent there.
You can see the vent. I slide the window open, the vent fits into the window, and then the vent from the back of the fan at the back of the spray booth fits into that.
That's just terrific. Well, I think it's about time we saw some trains running.
Okay.